Google Sheets is one of the most powerful and flexible ways to get dynamic structured data onto your first arriving dashboards if you are not using another integration through a third-party provider. Think of certifications, their expiration dates, staff assignment lists, vehicle inspection records, inventory tracking, or training completion logs. If the data lives in a spreadsheet, it can live on your dashboard. When you access your Google Sheet, you will see something similar to this. It'll have your department name on it up in the upper left-hand corner, and it will have preset column headers and example content for you to view. When a Google Sheet is integrated with your dashboard, a specific tab within the sheet is mapped to a widget or a content block on the board. The header row, which is typically row number 1, as you can see here, highlighted with the green boxes, defines the field like name, expiration date, title, description, location, or status. Each row below represents one record. The dashboard reads the sheet, applies the configured filters or sorting, and displays the data in a very clean layout. Integrations and layouts are configured during your implementation phase by first arriving. Your job as an agency admin is to manage the actual data inside the cells of the sheet. That means adding information to and editing content within the cells within the rows below the header, not changing the structure. Examples of content are provided for your reference and help you use the correct date, time, format, and other required layout in those individual cells. Not adhering to the date and time formats will result in data not being presented properly on your dashboards. If you do wish to make any kind of changes or add or remove a column, add a column header, or add, remove, or rename a tab, reach out to our support team and we will be happy to do that for you. As familiar and comfortable as you may be with using Google Sheets, don't change the column headers, move columns, or insert new columns in the middle of the mapped area without first coordinating with first arriving support. Don't add or delete or change tabs. Any kind of structural changes can break the integration or cause data to display incorrectly on the dashboard. And again, just a simple outreach to us and our support team, we would be happy to make those alterations for you. I want to take a minute to point out the example content in there for your reference and highlight the date and time formats, because this is critical to the mapping that our developers do when they first build these sheets for you. If you don't use this actual layout in this date and time format, it's not going to present properly on your dashboards, or maybe not at all. So we leave those examples in there for you to reference so that you can follow those and have smooth operations of your dashboards. You'll notice at the bottom of your sheet, there are a number of preset tabs. More than likely, you have selected the tabs that you want to see on your dashboards during implementation. If once you get operational and you find that you want to add or remove or maybe rename a tab on that sheet, again, don't do that yourself. Any kind of modifications like that to the tab structure will break your integration, and our support team will fix that for you, but it's a lot easier and more time saving if you just reach out to our support team, maybe submit a ticket, and we can make those modifications for you so that things operate the way you want and present the way you want. Now, once you are connected and the dashboard is functioning with your sheets, the dashboards check for updated sheet content every few minutes, depending on your configuration and your board's rotation cycle. Changes to cell values within the existing structure, like updating a date or a time, will be picked up upon a refresh cycle. Now, if you have large sheets or those with complex formulas, may introduce a short delay. If you've made a critical change and need to have that information appear immediately, you can use the refresh option under devices in the admin panel, and that will speed things up for you. You don't have to wait for the whole cycle to go through, or you can contact our support team and confirm that the refresh interval configured for you is appropriate. For the dashboards to read your Google Sheet reliably, the sheet must be shared in a way that allows first arriving integration to be viewed in it. Most setups use the link-based access, so anyone with the link can view the sheet and modify content within it. So be thoughtful about who and how many people you provide that access to so that you don't have too many people working in the sheet, and make sure they're also properly trained, maybe watch this video, to avoid frustrating errors in the future. If someone changes the sheet's sharing settings and makes it private or restricted, the dashboard widgets that depend on the operation stop updating or maybe even completely go blank. So that's a red flag to check immediately. If a sheet-driven widget stops operating and showing data, this may have happened. The sheet sharing data or permissions may have changed. So please don't modify the sharing settings. Just leave them as anybody with the link, and then be really careful about who you share that link with, and make sure that those people have access to the sheets, have proper training like watching this video, so they don't go in and make some inadvertent errors. And more than likely, there will be some errors made. There'll be some times we need to reach out to support. So any change that modifies the structure of the sheet needs to be done by our support team, not just the data, right? You can modify the data in those cells underneath, but the structural change may require, most likely, will require involvement of our first arriving support team. Contact support when you want to add a new column or field, maybe rename existing column headers, reorder columns, add a new tab, or display that you want to push to another dashboard, or maybe you want to display the same data across other dashboards and you need to map that out. Support can safely adjust the mapping and advise you on whether changes will affect other dashboards in your station. Now, before you reach out to our support team, it's always good to do a little bit of troubleshooting on your own. And if your sheet-driven content isn't appearing or stops updating, here's a few pointers to keep in mind, and you can check before you even reach out to our support team. So if you don't have any data appearing at all, confirm you're editing the right content that's mapped to the dashboard. Check that the header row still matches the original column names. Verify there's at least one row of data beneath the headers, and make sure that there are no merged cells in the header row or key columns. We recommend that you retain at least one row of example data that you see on the sheets when you first open it. This helps retain the structure and can be helpful to reference for new managers or even refreshers if you haven't worked in the sheet for a while, to remind you how things need to be structured. Now, if there are missing rows, look for active filters or hidden rows in the Google Sheet. Check that your values meet any configured display rules. For example, if only active status records are to display in the records, then make sure that that is configured appropriately and other statuses aren't going to show. Also verify date formats. Improperly dated or formatted, I should say, dates and times may be filtered out and not appear. Now, if data stopped updating entirely, this is what you want to do. You want to confirm the sheet's sharing permissions haven't changed. Check whether the sheet has moved to a different drive, domain, or owner. And we want to confirm that the device's internet connection is also stable. So it might not be the sheet, it might be the actual device that you're trying to push it to. Good time to try a device refresh from the admin panel to clear, and you might want to also think about clearing any cache data on your computer to make sure that you're not instituting some kind of an issue there. If you have misaligned columns or strange formatting, this is one of the most evident pieces of somebody changing a column. So this is almost always an indication that something has been deleted, renamed, or reordered within the sheet itself without coordinating with our support team. So you can also check for merged cells or extra columns inserted mid-data set. And if restructuring is necessary, again, it can be done. You just can't do it yourself. It just needs to be coordinated with our support team because it has to be mapped and configured with some coding that takes a short period of time. And again, it's a simple help ticket or outreach to our support team to get that done for you. Okay, before we wrap this up, I just want to touch on some best practices for maintaining your sheets. Good sheet design makes your dashboard more reliable and easier to maintain in the long run. So it's the maintenance for you in the long run is better and a better environment experience for you if you maintain good design. Use clean tabular structure. So row 1 is your header row only. Make sure you don't have any merged cells, no multi-line headers. Every row below is one record. So avoid blank rows in the middle of the data set. Keep formatting simple. Limit heavy conditional formatting. Don't use images and merge cells. Use consistent data formats, especially for dates and times. And you can also use drop downs or data validation where possible to enforce that consistent value use. Use separate tabs for different purposes. Don't mix things like vehicle inspections and training certifications on the same tab. Make sure you parse that out based on people's area of responsibility. Think about who might maintain that tab and don't commingle content that doesn't make sense. If your sheet gets very large, archive inactive records. One of the things that's nice about this is you can keep all those old records, but at a certain point, it might become a little bit long and arduous to maintain. So consider creating a summary tab for the dashboard that references your full data set, but only includes the rows and fields actually needed on the screen. So you can add a tab. We talked about earlier about adding tabs and modifying tabs. That just means you can't modify the ones that are there without breaking it. But in order to create an archive, you can add a tab to the end of that list. Don't put one in the middle. Make sure you're adding that tab to the end of the list. And that can be your archive tab. And it's important to know that any of those tabs that you add beyond what we provide will not be mapped to your dashboard. So you don't have to worry about any of that content being appearing on your dashboards because it's not mapped. We haven't coded it in to your dashboards. That way you can create the archive. You can really keep the management of your tabs clean, but also have that archive where you need it. Protect your header rows and overall structure by having 1 or 2 authorized admins allowed to submit for changes to first arriving. So any modifications to the structure should go through at least 1 or 2 of your senior admins to make sure that you guys are all coordinated. So communicate internally that structural changes need to be coordinated and make sure that goes through whoever is responsible for the overall dashboards to make sure it's a consistent and coordinated effort with us and within your own operating team.